Hello there everyone and welcome back to the Muunilinst mock update series, and this is the finale, the long-awaited finale. The mock is finished and this series has been going on for over a year now, and it is time to conclude this series. We've got the finale right here, and then the last episode for Muunilinst, the last video, will be the cinematic, which I will be taking a bunch of video and pictures for at BrickWorld Chicago 2022, and that will conclude the Muunilinst mock update series of videos. So this is the finale for the traditional mock update, but we still will have a cinematic that will come out shortly here after this video. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching these episodes throughout the past year or so. Thank you guys so much for leaving all your feedback. It means a ton. And yeah, it's time to finish this thing out. So it's a very exciting episode, and without any further ado, let's get started. All right guys, welcome to the finale of Muunilinst. This is a very exciting episode, and first off, I just wanted to show you guys that I got the pieces in, the whole cannon and the tower, complete with the dark gray slopes that I was missing. In the last episode, you got kind of an uncompleted look, but now here we are. The Muunilinst tower is complete with the correct colors, and I've kind of lined everything up properly this time. I haven't done the overnight test yet, so essentially I'm going to leave this thing on overnight and hope it stays. But the gaps are finished on the front side. The gaps are all kind of lined up and fixed right there. If you remember from last episode, I talked about kind of how there was some gaps and stuff didn't line up properly, but I got it pretty much to where I want it to be right now. So yeah. Now, what other stuff did I get done here? This is going to be a little bit different episode, different from what I usually do. Usually I kind of take you guys and do some things throughout the episode and then update you guys as I go along. This one's going to be a little different because I actually got a lot of the small stuff done already, and I also, by the end of the episode, I want to set up a bunch of figures and kind of do like a mini cinematic for the finale here, and then the actual cinematic will be taken at BrickWorld. But I want to kind of set all the figures up here at in the studio and give you guys a good look of what the mock finish with figures might look like. It won't be like all the figures or anything, but it'll be a pretty good look and hopefully make for a cool cinematic at the end of the finale. So first thing I did obviously was complete kind of the tower and the missing pieces, and I lined up some of the front stuff that needed to be done, and it's looking pretty awesome, guys. It's hard to get it in frame, but it's just awesome to see this Muunilinst cannon fully. So again, everything's kind of lined up in the front there, and the side is now complete with the correct colors. And yeah, I just think it looks epic, and it's very exciting to see this thing towering over the entire mock. So hopefully you guys like it. I'll get some more cool shots during the cinematic, but there's the Muunilinst tower front, since you guys didn't see it really fully complete in the previous episode. But yeah, very exciting stuff with the Muunilinst tower. Another thing that I got done was I had this huge backside of this building right here in the middle. It just wasn't done at all. It was completely open. So I ran into the predicament where I was pretty much entirely out of pieces, and I didn't have enough to fill in the full backside. I'm pretty much out of my sand green elements for masonry and plates and stuff. So what I essentially had to do was gather up any remaining light bluish gray pieces I had and try to cover up as much as I can like I did at the bottom, and then I had to make the rest kind of battle damaged, as you can see. So I used some inverted slopes to kind of make it look like a slash kind of went through kind of like this and came down. You know, it looks okay, it's not the best, but again, when I say I'm out of pieces, guys, in terms of light bluish gray and sand green, it's stuff is pretty much gone. Here, take a look at this. See that bin? It's probably a little dark, but that bin was full of 2x4 light bluish gray bricks, and there's barely any left in there now. This mock has taken up most of them, so I got that backside completed there. That leaves this problem, and this is a massive problem. I don't have enough pieces, and this is my own fault for not figuring this out earlier, but I don't have enough pieces to cover this full side right there. And as you can see, it's a very tall building, and you don't notice that it's missing a side from the front, but when you kind of get in close down here, you definitely realize that whole side is missing. So I got to figure something out there. I don't have enough pieces, and I'm out of time to order anymore to cover that whole side up. So I might at the convention just have to run around and try to find as many bricks as I can and cover that side. Otherwise, I might try to do something with an interior and maybe try to do that. I don't know. That right now is the biggest problem, and it's a problem but it's also not, because you can't really notice it unless you get really close or at a certain angle, because when you're kind of looking at it from the front, you don't really notice that there's nothing there on the side, but then if you look at it from a different angle, it's completely open. So I need to figure something out there, and I need to figure it out fast. So that's the biggest problem right now. But another thing I did was, as you can see over here, I never really had this building complete. I kind of built it and then just let it sit for a while. And I essentially considered a couple different options on what to do with it. Ultimately, I just decided to add in a top part there with the remaining light bluish gray plates that I had, and then add in some battle damage elements similar to this front building down here that I did a couple episodes ago. I kind of wanted to do the same thing up here. So you can see I've added in some debris and kind of chopped off portions of the building. And another thing I'm going to do at the convention is get a bunch of miscellaneous parts and start dumping them around this area and make it look like actual rubble is kind of spilled out all over the place on the building. So there's that one right there. So those were kind of the main things that I did. Was I touched up this building, so it's now complete. Again, not the best looking because I started it and wanted to make it really big and then realized I didn't have enough pieces really to finish it. So again, that's my own fault on that one, but I think it turned out okay with the battle damaged roof. I think it kind of fits the aesthetic as, you know, the rest of the vibe of this front area with all this destroyed section and everything like that. So I think it does work. So those were the two main big things I did after the tower, was finish that building. I still think I'm going to tile it off. You'll notice it's still kind of studded on the floor. I think I'll tile that off once I get a chance to do that here in a little bit. And then I completed the backside of this building and finished the roof with some more slopes. So the big thing was this tower. That's what I worked on a lot of for the past few days here, is getting this tower to work and line up properly. Another thing you notice is I do have a spider walker back there. So the issue here was back here in this little area, it's all empty and there's no road details or anything, and that's mostly because very low on road pieces, surprise surprise, because the road does take up a lot of pieces, surprisingly. So I was able to find a couple more pieces, so I think I'll be able to extend it a little bit, hopefully get it around that corner, but that whole backside is going to be empty, which kind of sucks. But again, you're not even going to see it. So where the camera is right here, the public and during the convention is going to be, you know, multiple feet behind this camera. So you won't, if you do come to the convention, you probably won't even see that back area. So if you do, I want there to be something back there. I mean, the tower blocks most of it, so that's why I put a spider walker back there. I wanted something to be back there. And if you follow my series for a while, you know I'm not really a huge fan of using actual Lego sets in my builds, but I really do like the spider walker, and I don't think the spider walker messes with the scale at all. That was a big thing why I don't use the gunships or ATTEs in any of my mocks. The scales are just thrown off. But compared to the tower, the spider walker I think actually scales fairly well, and the spider walker makes the tower look even bigger because the spider walker is a fairly large set compared to minifig scale with its long legs and everything. So I might just bring that with me and place it back there. I do have some cool ideas with its legs and like its main turret, and maybe a clone will be like getting smashed by one of the legs and like blasted by a laser. I don't know. So that's just back there for now, but I might end up just doing that there so there's nothing, so that it's not just nothing. I don't want it just to be empty back there. I want to put something back there. So, and hopefully I can do a little bit of the more road details, but for now that's going to be there. So this is a lesson for everybody. It's make sure you leave yourself enough time to finish everything. I was able to finish mostly everything, but you know, a few outstanding problems with the you know, that back side of the wall and then that little portion back there behind the tower, not having enough pieces to complete it, and that is 100% my fault. Obviously this has been over a year, and I've spent a lot of money on this project, and I just can't really afford to do any more to pay for any more stuff to finish the road back there or the side wall, and pay for extra shipping to get it here on time. It's just not a possibility. So maybe at the convention I can find some stuff to finish that back wall or make an interior or something just to fill that space. But that back part behind the tower, nothing's really going to be there. But again, even from this angle, and this is, you know, this is even closer than the public will stand at Brickworld. You might be able to get, you know, kind of this close, but again, you can't really see it, so I think that's okay. But with that, guys, pretty much all of Muunilinst is, it's weird to say it's almost complete. Another thing I need to do is do the border, so that's another thing I still need to do, but all the big major stuff is complete, guys, so this is very, very exciting. And yeah, so essentially for the rest of the episode, I'm going to touch up a few things, including the border. And then I'm actually going to talk about minifigures. So that's the next segment here. We'll be talking about minifigures. And after that, I will set up some figures and do a cool little, hopefully, cinematic walkthrough or something like that, just to give you guys an idea of what the MOC might look like when it's all set up at the convention. And hopefully that'll be an epic way to close out the Muunilinst MOC update series. So I'm going to get back to work because time is running out and Brickworld is almost here. And I need to finish this up here so I can get ready to pack. So I'm going to go ahead and get back to work on those small details that I still need to do. And I'll update you guys once I have some more progress. First up for the minifigures, we'll talk about Fordo and his squad. So of course the iconic Muunilinst squad that goes through the back alleyways of Muunilinst and makes their way to the tower to blow up the cannon and then infiltrate the tower with General Kenobi. So Fordo up here, I just decided to go with a almost purist custom kind of Lego Fordo, where it's just the Clone Trooper captain from, I believe, the gunship from 2013. And then I just gave him a Clone Army Customs pauldron and waist cape. Same with the Clone Trooper Lieutenant, this one here from the Polybag back in the day. So this one does not have the leg printing. It'd be nice to have another ARC Trooper, Blue ARC Trooper, to go with Fordo, but I've only got one. And of course, also Clone Army Customs pauldron and waist cape. So there's our two ARC Troopers right there. And then we've got the rest of the squad here, mainly using the 2013 and 2018 Clone Trooper kind of minifigures here. So we've got a bunch of those guys here. This will be our main squad that you're going to see in the kind of back lines here, back in the back, sneaking around and fighting the droids up in this front area near the cannon. And then I've just also got some two other figures here that are actually the old 2007 Clone Trooper, the Clone Battle Pack torsos, with just some Clone Army Customs helmets, just because I ordered 2 more helmets so I could have a little bit of a larger squad. So that is what we've got for the ARC Trooper squad here. They were selected for this assignment because they are the best, the elite, and hopefully they'll be able to take out the cannon for the Republic. So first off, on our minifigures, we've got Fordo and his squad here, and they should be ready to do some damage to the Separatist defenses. So next up, we've got some of the other Clone Troopers that are going to be featured on the main battlefield. That is the new 2022 Clone Troopers from the accessory pack with the very nice leg printing. And these figures look great. I do wish they had the black hips still. I do miss those. I was going to order a bunch of the accessory packs, and then, of course, LEGO does such a good job that they were out of stock right when they came out and are out of stock once again. So wasn't able to order any of the accessory packs, so I had to spend a lot of money just to get 10 of these Clone Troopers, so that's great. But yeah, I've got about 10 of these plane troops, and then, of course, over here, the sergeants and the commander and a few more plane troops. So I'm also planning on using a lot of the Phase 2 armor Clone Troopers that I have and just buying some Clone Army custom helmets at the convention. And I also am talking with a few people right now who are being very, very gracious and offering to help me fill up the MOC with Clone Troopers at the convention. So I'll make sure to give them a shout out in the cinematic video or any sort of videos you see from the convention, because the MOC is going to be not very full if I don't get some reinforcements. So a huge shout out to those people. Once I'm able to get that all figured out, hopefully I'll be able to have a few more reinforcements to help me here on the battlefield. But here are some of the troops you'll see on the battlefield itself. And for the speeder bikes, since I have 12 on each side here, that takes up quite a lot of minifigures. So I'm sorry, I know this is going to cause a stir up, but I am having to use the Clone Wars style clones for the speeder bikes, just because if I didn't, then I wouldn't have any clones for the battlefield, because this takes up 12 or 11 minifigures plus Obi-Wan right there. So hopefully it's okay. I don't think it's too big of a deal because they're just on the speeder bikes. That's the only time you'll see these Clone Wars style Clone Troopers, and it's an animated, 2003 is animated. These are animated clones. I don't think it's such a big deal. I know some people might have an issue with it, but I'm sorry, I don't have any other options, so I am using the Clone Wars clones for the speeder bikes. I think it'll be okay. There's going to be so much chaos on the speeder bikes that you're not really going to tell what version of the minifigures are when you're at the convention, or maybe it will, but I don't really care too much. I'm just trying to fill this mock-up with all the minifigures that I need. So though those clone troopers will be facing off against the black assassin droids here and the epic speeder bike charge. So even though I'm not really using the correct minifigures, it's still going to be epic. So that's what I've got going on for the speeder bikes. All right, and these 3 figures right here will also be featured in the mock. And an absolutely huge shout out to Droidbait on Instagram. I will put his link in the description. He was kind enough to make these 3 figures and send them over my way. These are decaled by him from AV Figures. We've got just a normal Phase 1 Grunt over there on the right and 2 Hawkback Troopers. That's right, the Hawkback Troopers from the beginning of the 2003 Clone Wars intro, where they're firing on top of those rocks in the muddy terrain with their trench coats, and just absolutely epic scene. That image has just always been in my mind forever, and Droidbait was kind enough to create these figures and wanted them to be featured in the mock, so he sent them over my way. So huge shout out to him. Again, I'll be putting the link to his Instagram in the description. He posts a lot of awesome photos of his custom decaled figures on his page, and just these figures are so awesome. These are the Hawkback Troopers. These figures are just phenomenal. We've got obviously the trench coat right there, which looks awesome, and then the boots, which are also kind of muddied and battle damaged down there. And gosh, I just think these guys are so cool. I love them so much. When I got them in the mail, I was so excited to get these figures. So I am going to feature them in the build, and I want to put them, I think I want to put them in this trench or around this area here on the battlefield where a lot of the speeder bikes are going to be. The reason I want to do that is because I feel like they just feel right to be in this kind of rocky battlefield debris area, like in the trench. I just feel like that fits kind of the opening from 2003 Clone Wars. So I am going to have the 2 Hawkback Troopers on the battlefield / in the trench. And then for just the Phase 1 Grunt, I'll probably put him somewhere with the rest of the troops and the city itself. But here are the awesome Hawkbat Troopers from Droidbait on Instagram. He did an absolutely phenomenal job on these figures, and I love them so much. These figures are incredible. I love these figures. So they will be in some epic poses in the trench, probably fighting some assassin droids or some just normal droids. They're going to look so epic. So again, huge shout out to Droidbait for sending these over. They look incredible, and I'm so happy they're going to be featured in the mock. And of course, I'll also be featuring the Clone Army Customs Muunilinst 10 ARF Trooper because, well, he just looks awesome. So he's definitely going to be in the mock as well. Also, the border has been complete here on the front and also around the sides as well. It's all complete. So a small thing, but it really just makes the mock look a lot better, a lot more polished, cleaner, and more complete. So the border is now complete around the outside. And that's going to be pretty much it for building wise in terms of this mock. So next thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up all the figures in a epic battle. It's not going to be as finalized or as large minifigure wise that it will be at the convention itself, but I do want to give you guys kind of an idea of what the final cinematic will look like. So I'm going to set up some figures, some battles here and there, and then I'll kind of do a walkthrough and do a little mini cinematic probably. And I think that'll be the best way to close out Muunilinst, the series that's been going on for over a year now. I think I need to do a little mini cinematic here in the studio while I've still got everything set up before I begin to get ready to transport it to the convention. So I'm going to go ahead and set up all the minifigures and do a walkthrough. So it's going to take a while. I want to make something epic here. Hopefully it looks good for you guys, kind of a test, a little bit of a practice before I get to the convention. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll update you guys once I get that finished up. Alright guys, so hopefully you enjoyed a couple of pictures and video. Now I'm just going to do a little quick walkthrough of the entire MOC here before I start to pack it up and get prepared for Brickworld. So again, the finale here is being pre-recorded, so at the time of recording this, I'm about ready to head out to Brickworld Chicago. I just need to start packing here soon. So I'm going to go ahead and do one last long walkthrough of Muunilinst here before it is convention ready. So this is pretty exciting to see the MOC in its kind of final form here, because I have a feeling this MOC's not going to make it back home in one piece after the convention. So here we are. I guess we'll go ahead and start off with the very first thing. Over a year ago now, probably getting close to a year and a half ago, when I started on the battlefield. That was the first thing I worked on for this MOC. If you guys remember, all the way back then, I had a couple of design problems trying to figure out what exactly to make the ground, and I decided to go with those slope pieces, which I think did turn out really well. I am quite happy with them. So first off, down here we've got the trench. We've got some of the Hawkbat troopers that I showed off earlier, and they're kind of holding the line against some assassin droids trying to hold the trench right here as the assassin droids try to push up here and take that position. And then throughout the battlefield, I just kind of started to practice placing all the speeder bikes and everything like that. This is probably what's going to take most of the time for setting up figures at the convention, just because there's a lot of things to try to balance and work out for the speeder bikes, just all the moving parts and everything like that. So I didn't really go anything too specific here. I just kind of set them up where I saw fit for the finale here. So like one over here, we've got a clone trooper who's kind of been pushed off his bike, and then the bike went and crashed into a pillar right there. And some clone reinforcements coming in, and then the main battle going on right here between the assassin droids and clones, and of course General Kenobi leading the front here, slicing up some assassin droids there. So I think this is going to be probably the biggest challenge for setting up figures of the speeder bikes, but I'm looking forward to it, and I want to make sure that at the convention I do this right and make sure it looks really good for the final cinematic, which I will be posting here pretty shortly after this finale. But that's kind of it for the battlefield. Nothing too crazy here, just some of the speeder bikes going into action here. Republic against the CIS, classic, epicness, everything like that. So here is the battlefield with all of these speeder bikes. The first thing that I worked on for this series, and it's really cool just to see it complete now and in its final form with all the speeder bikes and everything like that. So very exciting stuff. There is the battlefield. Now I guess we can move on to the city area, which is probably my favorite part of the build, is the city. So got past the archway right there and into the city. Another thing to note is I will be having, hopefully, a lot more troops at the convention, so you notice it's pretty empty in here. I'm hoping to fill that up with a lot more clone troopers and droids at the actual convention. But yeah, got our clone commander over there. He's hanging out. We've got the commander down here giving orders to his men, taking cover, stuff like that. And I don't think I'm going to go through everything here and talk through it, because let's be honest, no one wants to listen to me talk over all this for that long. But we do have a clone trooper right there taking cover with his rocket launcher, trying to destroy those droidekas. And down over here we've got some more clones. This is definitely an area at the convention where I think I will have a lot more troops to kind of put in this area, because I really do want to have a lot of clones over here and have a lot of battle take place in these kind of ruins area, because I really do enjoy the ruins. And then something that I did start to do as well was I put some of the sergeants, so kind of like leading some squads of clones right here. I know the sergeants weren't really featured in the 2003 Clone Wars, but I do have a couple of them, and I kind of wanted to utilize them. So I thought it would make sense if, some of the sergeants were leading some of the troops up in the front. And right here we've got the bridge, which was also built quite a while ago with these two buildings as well. And I decided to make it battle damaged in those episodes all that time ago. And we've got a couple clone troopers here who are unfortunately fallen victim to this bridge and are starting to fall down into the debris. So I also wanted to have some house-to-house combat, so that's another thing I got to figure out, and this is kind of what happens every time I do figures, or Paul and I do figures for these MOCs in the past years. Wanting to make a realistic battlescape in terms of thinking through the actual front lines and where the clones would be, where the droids would be, how the figures would get into certain positions, kind of how exactly would this battle play out, trying to take some inspiration from the actual show, but also kind of creating our own stuff. So for this one, that's what I'm trying to do. I was kind of playing around, messing around with this. This is kind of a test run for the actual convention, but the big thing is I do want to have some clones in the city, up in the walkways, so there is some combat going on in between the walkways because that's a really big thing I wanted to focus on. So most likely at the convention I'll also have the clones kind of pushed through this side right here so I can get them into the building to fight some of the droids. So there's that. And then this section right here, this is kind of the stuff I wanted to include quite heavily, as a lot of clones, you know, up on the walkways, blasting droids, some interesting combat up on the walkways, kind of like that. So that is one thing I want to put some focus on. And then, sorry for the shadow, some of these buildings are hard to get around with the camera, but lots of droids here in the city center, all kind of posting up, firing down the main city center at all the different clones and the speeder bikes and everything like that. So essentially lots of just defensive positions for the droids throughout the city here, able to snipe down on the clones and get some good high ground on the clones. So you'll notice I am using just plain battle droids. That's just because the orange battle droids are next to impossible to get off of Bricklink. They are so absurdly expensive, so because they only came in a few sets, so I don't have that many, so I am going to be using mostly just the plain tan battle droids. Trust me, I'd love to use the dark or the orange battle droids, but it's not going to happen. This is just way too expensive, and I'm not able to get that many, so there's one up there. I've kind of kept it to where the orange battle droids are kind of in the back of the MOC with Fordo and the boys, and that's kind of the spot where they're featured at. That is pretty much it for the battlefield and city area. Again, you saw a couple pictures and slideshows, but I'm really just kind of going to give you guys an overview for this finale, and then the big video will be the final cinematic that I take at the convention with like tripod and everything like that, and get some nice pictures and make a really cool cinematic video with music and everything like that. But there's just lots of really cool angles you can get here in the city with all the different pillars and buildings, and now that the tower is up in the back, I think it just fits really well and makes it pretty scary to imagine being a clone trooper having to assault a Muunilinst and try to take the city. It'd be a very difficult task for the Republic here. So that's pretty much it for this front half of the MOC over here. This was a long time in the making, and it was so much fun, and I just remember all the live streams and shenanigans that went down on the live streams and how much fun it was to build this on stream with you guys, and also just doing the updates almost weekly last year. I remember doing those quite frequently. It was a lot of fun and some of the happiest moments and times I've had making YouTube videos, so I really do appreciate that. Muunilinst has a special place in my heart now, so that is the city for Muunilinst here and the battlefield. Next up, we've got the tower area. And here is the back half of the MOC with the cannon and the tower, the iconic Muunilinst duo here. If you guys saw the end or stuck around at the end of last episode, you did see that I fixed up some of the towers, so you got a little sneak peek of that last episode. But this tower was fun to design, such an iconic thing from Muunilinst that I've always loved and had a ton of fun designing it. So the way I kind of thought about this was I wanted to include Fordo and the boys in his squad back over here and show them attempting to blow up the cannon and scale the tower, because you see both of those happen in the show itself. And hopefully I'll be able to get a few more reinforcements, because in the show he doesn't have a ton of men with him, but I need to cover, you know, a pretty big area here of clone troopers, so his squad may be a little bit larger and more exaggerated than it is in the show. But there is the tower, more recent. This kind of all back half here came these past few months after I did the announcement that I would be expanding Muunilinst, and this is the largest MOC I've ever done. Normally all the MOCs for Brickworld are one of these 6-foot tables long, and that's it, but adding this extra length to it, and I think the MOC is around 8 feet now. So with the MOC being that much larger, it did present its own unique set of challenges, but I did have fun trying to overcome those and figure out how exactly I was going to make this area work, and I'm really happy I ended up deciding to expand Muunilinst, because that was something I wasn't sure I was even going to do. But I think it adds a lot to it, and I'm really glad I was able to include the tower, because that's something that is very iconic to Muunilinst, and I think it just adds a lot to the MOC, and I'm happy it's in there. It was a lot of hard work and some trial and error, but yeah, I do appreciate all the feedback you guys gave me, because that was helpful. I've never built something like this tower before. Even this whole MOC, like the city, I'm just not used to building stuff like that. So I really do appreciate you guys sticking through with me and giving me feedback on each episode, because it does really help when I read through those and try to figure out how exactly I'm going to proceed with the next building or objective on the MOC. And back over here, we do have the destroyed building that I kind of added onto this episode here with some of the destroyed elements up top. And I just decided to have a few minifigures there. You can see a clone trooper taking cover down there. One of those pillars had fallen down on top of one of those battle droids right there, and we've got those droids firing down on that clone trooper. And then over here with the Spider Walker, again, if you remember my reasoning for the Spider Walker being here, that's kind of what I had in mind with that clone trooper down there. I actually wanted to, I don't do this a ton, but actually show the projectile from the Spider Walker and kind of shoot at the clone right there. And some of the pillars are bent as if the impact of the clone and the lasers are kind of being felt throughout some of these columns. So I think that was cool. So there's our Spider Walker down there in the corner, and the poor clone troopers who decided to try to attack the Spider Walker, because that's a great idea. And next we've got the cannon itself. This was a ton of fun to design. Definitely probably the hardest thing I've done on the MOC here, just because definitely out of my comfort zone and not something that I had a lot of experience with, doing kind of these cannons and stuff like that. So I definitely am pretty happy with the way it turned out. There's a couple things I kind of think I would do differently the second time around, but overall I think it gets the point across and I am pretty happy with it. And we've just got a clone trooper right there smacking a droid with his rifle. This is one of my favorite. If you've noticed throughout my thumbnails or intros and outros, the clone trooper holding the rifle and hitting a droid with the butt of the stock. That's always just something I absolutely love doing with the clone troopers here for figure setups. So you're definitely going to see that in the final cinematic. But all this stuff down here is pretty recent. I'm not going to go too in depth into it. I've covered this in the past few episodes, but we just got our clone troopers going through here trying to get to the tower to scale it. We've got Fordo, of course, being as cool as possible, stepping on one droid and blasting a super battle droid right there. We've got a poor clone trooper who has fallen down and been met face to face with a droideka. A formidable challenge there, of course, and some more droids. Nothing too crazy. And then up here we've got an ARC trooper and a just plain trooper trying to scale the tower to get to the top. So nothing too crazy over here. Again, hopefully I'll be able to add a little bit more on the finale, or for the final cinematic, but we shall see. And then again, this tower is kind of all stuff you've seen in the previous episodes. Nothing too crazy, but I absolutely love the way it turned out, and I think the scale fits pretty well. And I just wanted to make it seem very intimidating, like it is in the show, and hopefully that comes across here, and the absolute challenge that our clone troopers have when trying to scale this thing to take out the tower, or to take out the cannon, and to get inside of the tower itself to capture some of the Muun Command Control Center and some of the high-ranking members and officers and Muun leaders and things like that. So here's the front area. Nothing too crazy. Like I said, you've seen it a lot in the past few episodes. Just been the main focus of the final few episodes here. So that's about it for this MOC. Oh, wait. One more down here. We've got the Clone Army Customs Muunilinst ARF Trooper that I got last summer, and I did do a review on him. And I just have him down here kind of in the tunnels, and hopefully I'll be able to give him some reinforcements here, but I do want to have him in the tunnels down here because I think that'll be really cool. Alright guys, and that was it. That was a quick run through here on the MOC itself and some of the figures. Sorry if it was a little rushed, but I have one day to pack all of this whole MOC together and to get it ready and pack it and make sure it's secure and safe to travel for Brickworld. So I am kind of hustling through here trying to get the finale filmed, but hopefully you guys did enjoy seeing the MOC finished, the complete MOC here, everything done that I'm able to finish up here before Brickworld, and I'm very happy with the MOC. I'm very proud of it, and I say this at the end of every MOC series, but this has definitely been the most successful MOC series to date. And again, I also say this every time. I appreciate it so much that you guys watch every episode and you guys leave comments or likes and all that stuff. The comments really just, it makes me so happy to post a video and to interact with you guys and to hear all the feedback and the suggestions you guys have. It means so much to me, and the live streams were one of the best things I've ever done on the channel in terms of how much fun I had doing those last year. And this MOC is a main reason for it, being able to stream, building this MOC, and the interaction from you guys. It was so much fun, and hopefully I'll be able to do live streams again soon. I'm not sure, but so many things happened with this MOC. This is the first MOC made in this studio, this new studio. Everything used to be made in my room, but now I've got this studio here with all the Lego boxes and everything like that in the background, and this MOC has a special place in my heart now, and I had so much fun making it, and I'm very proud of it. And the biggest thing is I hope you guys enjoyed the MOC. I hope you are satisfied. I hope it meets all expectations, and I really hope that it does justice and is a good homage and a good thank you to the 2003 Clone Wars, because that show is just so incredibly epic, and I want this to be in honor of that show because it inspired all this and inspired so many other great moments throughout Star Wars and creativeness just in general in my life. And that show is incredible, and I know it means a lot to a lot of people, so I want to make sure that I did this MOC justice and I did it right for everybody who grew up watching that and fell in love with that show, because that 2003 Clone Wars is just such a masterpiece of art and true epicness, as I would say. So hopefully this MOC lived up to it. Again, I also do this every time. I just keep talking because I don't want the series to end because I absolutely love doing these MOC updates. It's just one of my favorite things to do, and I just don't want a MOC to come, like, it's always sad to see it complete because you know the journey is over in terms of MOC updates, but that's also part of the fun with Lego. You finish one project, you get to move on to another project, and it's a little bittersweet finishing up this MOC because I've been working on this for like a year and a half, and I've had so much fun with it, and thank you guys so much for following along and leaving all your feedback and joining the live streams, and just so much fun, guys. So I'm gonna have to shut up now so I can finish this video and start packing, but thank you guys so much for watching. Here is the final wide shot of Muunilinst in the studio. It is time to take it to Brickworld Chicago 2022. Wish me luck, guys, even though this is in the future, I guess. But anyway, here is Muunilinst one last time in the studio. Thank you guys so much, and let's go ahead and move on to the outro. Alright guys, and that's going to do it for this episode, and that is going to do it for the Muunilinst MOC update videos. Lastly, we will have the cinematic, which will conclude this whole project, and I'm not going to sit here and talk for another 5 minutes like I did last time, because I kind of said everything that I normally say in that previous clip, but once more, I'm going to say it again. Thank you guys so much for watching all of these videos. Even if you just watch one or two here or there, it really means a lot to me. I've devoted a lot of time and money and effort into this MOC to make it one of the best projects I've ever done, and I hope you guys really, really enjoyed it. I had a ton of fun making it, and this is a dream of mine to make Muunilinst ever since I was a child. I've mentioned a few times I've always dreamt of making something like Muunilinst or Muunilinst itself. That was always like the golden, like, I always wanted to build someday some sort of city and the tower and the cannon. I always wanted to build something like that from Muunilinst. I just absolutely loved that battle as a kid, and I always wanted to try to do something like that, and here I am now, and I'm gracious, and I'm thankful, and I'm blessed enough to be able to work on a project like this and bring my dreams really to life here, and making the battle out of Lego that I've always wanted to here on Muunilinst. And it means a lot to me, and I can't really, it means a lot to me, and it's hard to explain, but I'm very happy and very blessed to be able to work on this and to have the opportunity to build something that I've always wanted to build for pretty much my entire time of doing Lego stuff. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to all these episodes and to the live streams. It really means so much to me. And yep, one more time, guys, the finale is over, and the conclusion to this MOC will be the cinematic video coming out here shortly, and then it's time to move on to something new. So that is it for this series. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, leave your feedback in the comment section below. Hope you guys have a great day, and may the Force be with you always.